Welcome back, and starting the first segment of Breakfast Show with the press review, and we are joined in the studio by Mr. Mohamed Sheta, media expert. Hello, sir, and welcome, and good morning.
Very good morning to you and to all our viewers. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to start with the main headlines in the newspaper, and start with Al Ahram newspaper, where President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met with Prime Minister Sharif Ismail and the Minister of Finance Amr al-Garhi. President spokesman Ala Youssef said that the Minister of Finance briefed President Sisi on the latest data regarding the first half of the current fiscal year and state budget. During the meeting, President Sisi stressed the importance of exerting more efforts in reducing the governmental expenditures. The President also urged the government to exert its utmost supplying the basic needs of low-income brackets and the neediest citizens. Mr. Mohammed, discussing the first news from Al Ahram newspaper, why the President met yesterday with the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance. Is there an urgent matter for meeting the Minister of Finance?
Well, I think developing the economy is one of the top priorities of the Egyptian President right now, and it should be also the top priority for the Prime Minister and his government. I was a little bit surprised by two news which we had this week. One of them said that the Egyptians spent, or actually not the Egyptians, 4 charity organizations spent in 2016 11 billion pounds, not million, 11 billion pounds in TV advertising only. So I think this was the first thing which caught my attention actually this week. And the second one was the announcement of the assembly of a new car in Egypt by one of the so-called local assembly lines at a price tag of 2.5 million Egyptian pounds. So I think we have some problems with the private sector actually in this matter, because instead of building very expensive cars with a huge profit margin, I mean the profit margin in this car will be around £1 million per car. So having such a huge profit margin just for one car, and at the same time not using the economy of scales, and for example, instead of assembling smaller cars and building thousands of cars in order to create jobs, for example, they go a totally different direction. They just build very small units, very little units, very small numbers, and with a huge profit margin. So I think the government needs to have some more productive instructions and give some better instructions in order to have a better economy, not only for the companies working in the public sector, but actually more for the companies working also in the private sector, because apparently something is going utterly wrong with the private sector these days.
We always say that we need to think out of the box in order to, especially for the youth, to create new jobs and to make the youth live a better life, because they are complaining of.
You're absolutely right. If you recall, I said it so many times before that most of the members in the Egyptian local business community actually are not really after establishing sustainable business units or business sectors, and I think this is one of the most tragic problems we have in Egypt right now.
They are chasing the profit.
They are just after the profit, and they don't care about what's going to happen next. I just want to make as much profit as possible now. And if I close down the factory in 3 or 5 years, like it happened with several companies, for example, in the automotive sector and also in other sectors, they don't care actually. They'll just take the money and invest it outside Egypt actually in some cases. So most of the investments which you have in Egypt right now, for example, in the real estate sector, for example, those are not really very productive business models. I think we should really go into productivity. We need to produce made in Egypt products which are capable of competing with the international products on an international level, and not just for the local market. If we keep on focusing on building or assembling products for the local market in order to have a huge profit margin and give the Egyptian consumer very low quality products, then we're going nowhere.
Okay, and moving to الأخبار اليوم newspaper, where we read Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri met on Tuesday with his Jordanian counterpart on the sidelines of the ministerial meeting of the Arab League Council in Cairo. Spokesperson for the Foreign Ministry Ahmed Abu Zaid said that the meeting tackled bilateral relations between the two countries, stressing the importance of working hard to move forward to new horizons in the process of relations and achieving common interest in line with the aspirations of the two brotherly peoples. So what's your comment on also on this meeting?
I think the relation between Egypt and Jordan is a very unique relationship, actually. As you surely know, and as most of our viewers know, Egypt and Jordan are the two only Arab countries which had the first peace agreements with Israel. This means that Jordan and Egypt have a major role in the peace process in the Middle East, and as we have seen during the past couple of weeks, all the meetings between the U.S. government as well as the Jordanian government and the Egyptian government shows that those two countries are key pillars in creating stability in the peace process and in also leading the peace process to a productive and useful and hopeful results for the Palestinian people, actually. So I think probably what they discussed most was the Palestinian peace process, especially after the latest development and the stubbornness of some of the Israeli government members, especially Benjamin Netanyahu, of course.
Okay, and moving to Al-Ahram online, where we read the foreign minister's visit to Brussels has launched a new phase of strategic partnership between Egypt and the European Union, paving the way for EU-Egypt association agreement in the upcoming period. The agreement, which has been under negotiation since February 2016, would frame the country's relationship with European institutions over the next 3 years. In an official statement, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ahmed Abu Zaid said Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri and his European counterparts have compiled a document of each side's priorities to guide further negotiations on the agreement. How do you see the importance of Egypt's agreement with other international partners, and of course when it comes to an international institution like the EU?
Well, the fact that Foreign Minister Shukri met with 28 European foreign ministers, which is considered the first meeting of its kind with a non-EU minister, I think this shows clearly how important Egypt became for the European Union during the past couple of years, especially regarding the refugee crisis, which caused lots of problems in the European Union. I think this is also related a little bit to the visit of the German Chancellor Angela Merkel in Egypt a few days ago, where also they discussed mainly the problems of the migration and the illegal immigrants coming to Europe, and of course the refugee crisis, which was more or less created by the Syrian crisis, of course, during the past couple of years. So I think now not only the Germans but also most of the European countries recognize the importance of Egypt in solving the regional crisis. This is number one. Number two, they also see that Egypt has a huge impact on reducing not only Egypt but also the other North African countries, like for example Tunisia, because as you know Angela Merkel also went to Tunisia after her visit in Egypt. So they are paying huge attention to the North African countries, and especially of course Egypt, because it's the most prominent country and the most powerful country in North Africa. So I think during the next couple of years we'll see lots of agreements between Egypt and the European Union. Of course, the European Free Trade Agreement is one of the, in my personal opinion, is one of the best things which could happen to Egypt. We just need to implement it in a much faster and in a much better way. Because this brings us back to the point, we have a huge chance of importing made in Egypt goods to the European Union without any customs, and I think this is a huge opportunity which we're not using actually. We're just using it the other way around in importing goods from the European Union, especially cars, for example, but at the end of the day, the Egyptian consumer does not really feel the discount or the reduction in the customs, because they reduce the customs on one hand, on the other hand they put local taxes on the products again, so this does not make much sense for the Egyptian consumer at the end.
Okay, and moving to Al Ahram newspaper, where we read that Egypt on Tuesday condemned the forceful takeover by a Libyan militant group to two of the country's largest oil ports, saying the assaults undermine the ongoing efforts to end war in the striking country's political stalemate. On the 3rd of March, militant group Bani Ghazi Defense Brigades captured the ports of Sidr and Ras Lanouf, which is east of the capital, Tripoli. Foreign Ministry spokesman said that such attacks represent an extreme danger, urging the importance of not allowing foreign-backed militant groups to determine the political process in the country, and we still see Libya out of control, and every now and then we hear new names of a new extremist groups emerge there on the battlefield, and they of course put their hands on an oil fields or control a port or a certain
this is their main aim, because this brings the real money. So, but as the UN Special Envoy to Libya, Ambassador Michael Kobler, said many times before, who was, by the way, the German ambassador to Egypt a couple of years ago, he said that Libya is in an extremely unstable state, and I think Egypt has a huge interest in stabilizing the situation in Libya, because they are our direct neighbors. And if we don't have a stable Libya, we will continue having threats coming from our western borders. So I think Egypt needs to take. And I mean, you hear rumors that behind the curtain, Egypt is, or the Egyptian armed forces are actively engaged in some activities near the border or even past the border. So yeah, I think Egypt needs to have a much more powerful standing in this issue as well.
Okay, and moving to Al-Masri اليوم, where we read the Minister of Supply, Mr. Ali Al-Masalhi, on Tuesday said that the ministry had reduced the bread subsidy quota for bakeries in order to trim waste caused by misuse and profiteering by the bakery owners. The Sunday decision by the ministry reduced the amount of state-subsidized bread provided to bakers for holders for old subsidy cards. The minister decreased the amount of the breads to 500 loaves a day, down from 1,000 to 4,000 allocated for each bakery, depending on the beneficiaries in the area. Of course, this is one of the most important and controversial issues, especially people were protesting yesterday for the decreasing the amount of the bread they take from the bakeries. And why this decision was taken now?
Well, the decision was taken because there had been huge corruption in this issue, and especially we have to differentiate between two cards. There's the subsidy cards for the citizens, and there's the so-called golden card for the bakeries. And with this card, each bakery had up to 3,000 or 4,000 loaves a day, which they could give to citizens who do not have the new electric card, the new electronic subsidy card, but still using the old paper subsidy card. And according to some researchers, there had been, I think, a waste of like 11 billion pounds, a huge number actually, which was circulating yesterday in the different talk shows by some experts. So of course the government wanted to stop this corruption, because actually those billions of pounds or those millions of loaves were not going to the needy people, but actually going into the pocket of some of those corrupt bakery
But why it was
owners.
not made in order, we cannot touch the people's needy for bread and food. Why it was not regulated?
Well, the thing is, the problem is there had been an agreement with the former minister, and actually now Minister Alim Salhi, the supply minister Alim Salhi, had to take it over this agreement, and the only problem which they did actually, or the only mistake they did, that they did not announce it correctly to the public, and this is why we had some demonstrations in a couple of cities, like Alexandria, for example. Of course, some people came out and said, okay, those were organized demonstrations and all these things which we heard in some of the talk shows. Nevertheless, the problem was there, and I think it was the mistake of the government that they did not announce it ahead and explain to the people what was really going on, because people did not understand the difference between the subsidy card for the citizens and the golden card for the
No,
bakery.
because when they went there, as people were saying yesterday, they're supposed to take 15, so it was decreased to 5. So it touched their basic
yes, of course.
needs.
It was decreased by the bakery owners, because the bakery owners said we don't have the 3,000 or 4,000 quota anymore for the paper subsidy cards. So, and you don't know if that was true or not, because actually each bakery owner could say, well, I ran out of my quota now, and you can't really hold him accountable for that. So I think the only way and the only solution of finding a solution for this issue is that everyone should get his electronic card in order to eliminate the corruption in this and the misuse of this in this issue.
Okay, and by this, Mr. Mohamed Sheta, we came to the end of our press review. Thank you very much, and very lovely good morning for you.
Thank you very much, and the same to you and to all your lovely viewers, and of course the lovely Nile TV team.
Thank you. And now we are moving to a quick break, so please stay tuned.